Hello all, Dr. Fox back here with you with the weekend update. We got a few things. This is getting up a little early because I'm going to be, well, someone is going to be celebrating their B-Day this week, and I share it sort of sandwiched in between David Duchovny and the other, they're doing this big X-Files thing for Comet. They're having a big, long X-Files binge over there, and I don't know, I've put some other things on in the background right now as well. So, and then you guys can enjoy some Miss Moore. Of course, that's what you're here for, not me. I'll finally talk about that antenna story. I know I had said I was going to talk about it when I was given my tour of my house. And then last week I touched on it and said I'll be doing that in a bit. And what I meant was the bit for the following week, which is today. But I'm actually doing it early because I'm going to be going out to get a couple of freebie food items for my B-Day. So I needed to actually get this done a bit earlier. So I wanted to touch on some of the aspects, and I hope the weekend update finds you well. And I'm always appreciative for all those that come along and kind of stick through the chaos with me. In tank top today with this, so because it's a little toasty in here. I had to. I've been overwhelmed. We'll get into all that. We'll get into this. Dr. Fox back here with you with the weekend update. Why don't we talk about that one thing I was about to touch on? Let's get that out of the way really quick. I've been kind of overwhelmed. I don't know if they're water bugs or they sort of look like cockroaches. It just kind of started to worry me. It's tough when you get someone that goes, "Don't fret, it's just ... and they're not living here. They don't know. It's been very overwhelming in the front, and in the front area that gets really, really hot. I saw a ton of them up on my third floor when I went up and checked it out. I've had a few right next to my phone, and you worry because these things will walk around bacteria and really bad things if you don't. They can really spread disease very, very quickly if you're not careful, and they can very much overwhelm. And then you worry, like, well, if I've seen a few and they're coming out during the day, you could already have an infestation. You can't even find it. So I had gone out and bought a whole bunch of like the borax, the little white powder you find, and I've been putting it in like every corner. And don't worry, for those concerned, I always make sure I spend the extra on kid safe and fur baby safe, right up there. So I always make sure, and I'm really, really proud of her. Whenever I put that stuff down, she never goes over and sniffs it or gets into it. And I usually try to just get it in the little crack and the little corners. They like high up spots, so I've been putting it up high up on top of the counters out there where she never goes up there. I have seen a few of them on the ceiling. I can't really treat the ceiling. There is a spray I've got to spray the outside again, and it's just been so hot lately. At least I've gotten powdered around most of my trim for the first floor, or the level floor, here. And then I was able to get about 3/4 of the second floor, and I did around the bathroom. And I did look it up. That particular type, you are allowed to put a little bit of borax down your drains, which I thought might even help a little bit with that drain. I was just worried maybe with that drain clog that I'd been having, and that maybe there was some sort of, I hope there wasn't some nest in there or something like that it was clogging from. Or, we could sit here and think it was sort of a lemon home, and, you spend that $975 to make sure you don't have a lemon home, and to make sure that the inspector felt it was strong enough. And I thought this was about a 1951 home. I guess come to find out, I'm looking at my paperwork, and it was built more closer to like 1910. And I can already hear some of my, going upstairs, you always hear those creaking stairs. I've got that creak over here in the living room area where I have my nice shag carpet. Yeah, baby. And speaking of that kind of stuff, it always reminded me, people would ask me to like do this when I'm wearing my little pink bow headband, because it reminds them of like the little cheek, the one that has like if I had the whole bandana going. The classic American chica, the hardworking chica, aka the Jane of many trades, if you will. So I've been doing that, and then I ran out of that one, and then I had to use a little bit more some other of the Demesius Earth borax mix stuff that's safe for pets and animals and kids. And then I went up to the third floor, and I was worried. I was like, oh, watch, I'm gonna go up here, and sure enough, there was some along the steps. there were a whole bunch around the window, and it wasn't that I'd left my window open. It was, you know, it was already sealed. It just wasn't locked. So I did like a half lock. And I was like, oof, I hope they're not coming in that way. And then I realized my air conditioner on the second floor, it's one of those rolling ones that just, it's a tube that goes in there. They're not as cool as the window ones or like a wall one. And trust me, if I had the money, I would just have them add that to my central air here. So with my heating system, I could have central air during the summertime. I may do that eventually. I don't know how long I'll be here. I don't know. Things are kind of up in the air right now, and I'm trying to work out my numbers. And trust me, it was not easy to even get into this home right now. And I do got to build some equity for a while, and I got to hunker down, and I just can't do a lot. That's why I'm trying. Those that know me always know I try to find a little deal here and there. So I'm going to be, that's why I'm doing this a bit early. I'm going to be trying to go out and celebrate. I think this year, there's not a lot of options. There are a few like buy one, get one if I had someone with me, but I just don't have that extra, like lately, the last quite a few years, I'm usually, when I do the buy one, get one, I have to pay that other person's food. And I can't afford to do that. So I've got it down to the free burger at Red Robin, yum, across the parking lot to the other one. The Ruby Tuesday, I think. I don't know. I thought one of those restaurants had closed because of COVID. They might be getting reopened now. I know some of them are starting to, like, I hadn't even been to the Olive Garden up this way, and I finally went recently. But I'm going to be trying to probably hit those two. There is a free thing of some breadsticks. I don't normally eat those carbs. I might pick those up. There's a cinnamon option, so I might do that one. And then I can't enjoy an ice cream. There's no friendlies this year like I used to be able to do. There is an IHOP. I may go hit IHOP for brunch tomorrow, and then try to hit a burger. I might, if it's brunch is too close to, I just can't stay out for more than a couple hours. I really want to get home and not have to do that. Normally I wouldn't talk about this in advance because they're like, oh, well then, while she's gone, let's try to break in. No, normally I don't kind of get into, if you're seeing something behind my head is purposely, I'm vicariously trying to keep my head in this region. I forgot to turn the screen off. It's muted right now. Star Wars is showing, I think it's on TNT this weekend. And I have it on in the background. I just didn't want YouTube to cause some issue with it, so I'm trying to do that. So I think with that, we'll kind of segue. I think some of the biggest news this week that I just want to touch on is, I will get into the antenna story. Hang in there. That's when I start getting into like my personal things that I've been up to, and I'll get into that in a minute. Let's just touch on the Blizzard Activision things going on there. Jay Allen. He has pretty much stepped down at this point after all that little chaos going on, and a couple pair of executives are stepping in. But we know how this always works. We see this decade after decade, especially if we still continue to live in a society that has this capitalism that draws over, maximizes. And I'm not talking about Beast Wars maximize. This is a different type of maximize I'm referring to. And, if they don't get caught, if you will, wink, wink, this is what happens up there. They go, well, we'll just leave and do it again when we get into their comfortable place. So, and that's what we see quite often. No judgment, just sharing with you when you look at science and kind of how the human mind generally works. We don't tend to see very many that will say they change, and then they come right back to that quite often. Not saying they all do. There's always that gray area and exception to the rule. Always. Always, always, always. Another touch on, I think we're going to just briefly talk about, I know, speaking of that, there was what was it called? The AET or something like that? The how did they pronounce that? I have to bring this a little bit closer. Bear with me. Something like the artists, employees that walked last week. Oh, the ABK, that stood for the Activision Blizzard King. They're all subsidies of this company. They're going back to kind of doing... we'll have to kind of see how this all plays out with that whole piece, but I'm going to kind of leave it at that. I think they cover it better. I know there's a lot of streamers out there that really cover this detail a lot better. I'll put a link in the description as well about that. One of the hot fixes this week, a bit of a more fast travel for those that are running through the S.O.D, or Sanctum of Domination for short. Don't ask me exactly where these death gates are. I just pretty much kind of follow the group when I was running the raids. That next segment should be coming for very, very soon, but they've added that this week. Are anyone else going after Keystone Masters? Sadly, that is something that I didn't get to do in BFA, and I haven't got to do in some of the other expansions as well. I've missed out on those mounts, sadly. Whoops. On those mounts, sadly. There's nothing... Sadly, I pretty much hit heroic, and I'm like just pretty much doing maybe twice a week. I'll pop into Korthia, and I'll do that. Lately, because this week, when I mentioned in my calendar last week, the time walking, you can queue up, and of course it's great, because not only does it line up with time walking, it also lines up with Darkmoon Fair, so you get your 10%, but it's hard to run back and forth, especially trying to do Uglia, and that one only has like 3 or 4 quests, and you have to like grind all those Apex crystals, and I'm not talking about the Apex crystals from Warlords of Domination or WOD. Oh, yikes, I forgot what that grind entailed. Yeah, man, I thought it was just the little demon monster guys out there near the crystals, and then like the ones that like the scythe there ones, and then every once in a while you'll find it. But you can kill the boars out there too. Like normally I try to leave the little floaty ones where you have to catch them with a lasso, 8 of those. And you get a few of those. You can get enough to go around to the 4 dragons to get you like a sword. I just got enough Apex to make my sword. I was all excited because those go for like 10, 20,000. Those transmogs on the auction house right now. So I was doing a little bit of that, and I was excited. I think I finished Lower City Wrap. And this is old. This is retail old TBC. This isn't new TBC. And speaking of new TBC, we have a new patch dropping pretty soon. Good news for those that have been wondering. I know my guildies had, and they're all excited. I think coming up now. Again, don't quote me on this. This is just from a good source we've heard. Approximately maybe August 31st ish, somewhere in September ish, we should see phase 2, and that's supposed to have the guild bank finally. Yes. We got a couple of the dungeons coming in like we tend to see in each of the phases, as well for TBC Classic. We still do that with our guild. A few hours on Monday. Not very often. We have really... I think all of us have kind of pulled back a bit from all this Blizzard chaos a bit. But it's just also just because it just happened to be, too, at the same time. Life is sort of taken over for many of us, and we're all kind of really busy doing life stuff. And then I might barely have a chance to squeeze in an hour or so to maybe get my weekly 2 renowned in retail. This is just something I happen to finally have a little bit, because normally I have no time. I have such a busy schedule, like Monday through Friday, and then Friday and Saturday, and then Sundays I already takes half a day, and it's like pretty much my whole week just kind of just gets, and then I'm still busy, and then in that I get exhausted. I get my disabilities act up. It makes it hard, and I'm not using that as an excuse. I'm just sharing with you how the science works in my body. Everybody's different. I don't throw garbage in it. I did at least celebrate. I had to share with you all that I did finally celebrate something the other night. In-game real quick, and retail was all excited. Darkmoon Fair. I had fished Shadowlands. I finally popped 200 fishing. Yahoo! They're like, what? I did that. Like, wait. Hey, we all do it at our own pace and our own time, okay? It's all good. No, just being funny. Darkmoon Fair, I had fished for Shadow... for the new Shadowlands fishing up until 190. I stopped it finally at 195. I grinded out fishing one afternoon, and I think a little bit more another. I think I got it to like 180, because I had or 175 or 185 something. I had like a plus 20 or 25 fishing pole. And then another day came back and I did it to like 195. I stopped there, and I said, all right, I'll get my last 5 points when Dark Moon comes next week. So I went down to Darkmoon Fair, and I've been using it to put the 1 hour bonus on, and shooting out to Shat and doing that. I did the weekend event. I got the 5 run for the item level 226 item, and of course it did not help me. I was hoping it'd be a neck or a trinket or a ring or something, because I still have a 207 in one of those. and everything else was my, I've upgraded 213s. I had a 230 in one of my other, I think it was my back slot, and I finally get a back piece that drops, that gives you the little bonuses. So I have, to let you level the gear. So I finally got a leveled gear piece for my back, and I think I have it up to like 213. So everything's pretty much 213. The 233 is from the raid I did there weeks back. There are a couple pieces I have been able to hit 220 on it. My weapon is 220. I always try to make sure I get that weapon first, as high as I can for now, anyway. Because I'm trying to get to tier 4, and I know it's such a grind. I hate these grinds. Get so exhausting. Expansion after expansion, and so on and so forth. But so I've been kind of doing that. But one thing I'm really, really excited about, for those that saw my tour will know that I kind of have, and some can kind of see, there's that oil painting that those that follow me on Instagram, that's that oil painting I was talking about. It has all the like classic horror franchise characters. Most of them in there were some sort of were a part of me when I was growing up, was these big parts of what those were. I look at those as art. I don't go, it's different. When I was much younger, I don't know, late teenager years, I used to have a couple of friends come over, and we would just laugh at the horror movies. It wasn't really a scary thing for us. I think that helped prepped me, because I saw some horror shows in real life that I'm not even going to talk about, in Afghanistan, Iraq, those month and a half of POW, and just fighting for my country, and to help save those 3 children, the cook, and some other stuff. And I'm only hitting a few bullet points, because I'm not going to go into all this stuff. It's a mess, and I'm not going to talk about it. It's just the horror stories I've seen. Let me leave it at that. Okay? And I think with that, I'm all excited. They haven't released a new one. I probably should have waited a bit longer. My luck, I'm going to get this, and they're going to announce that they're having like a new anniversary edition of this coming out in Blu-ray, and they're going to clean up the screen and stuff. But and I know this one's been out for quite a few years now, but I was all excited. My brother came over the other day, and those that know that saw that video tour of my home knows that my living room was sort of set up like this sort of movie stylish, and then I close all my curtains off and all that, and makes it really dark, and these nice like blue and purple like LED lights like behind the screen, and I have on the side, and so and then I have a little popcorn, and I had a little I think I just posted it on Instagram earlier today about me talking about the 35th anniversary. I'll get into that one in a minute, but the one I'm referring to is my brother and I the other week, we did the Blu-ray on G.I.Joe, the animated film, is one of my faves. Those were some of the toys that really influenced me growing up. Some of the G.I. Joes. My cheek is Lady J, and I'm still trying to find a decent reissue of her on eBay, because I haven't been able to find any in the stores. I did find the 2 leaders, Duke, and we had that. I'm gonna show my age a bit, but we sent away for like, I don't know, 50 cents or something in postage, and we got the hooded Cobra Commander, but they had we had never had a Cobra Commander with his helmet on, and I was gonna get the one when he had like it looks almost like this white suit there when he gets turned back from a snake when they did Operation Dragonfire. There's still parts of the Operation Dragonfire. It were hard to get through, because the voice actor who did Serpentor was kind of hard to, and I know when it went to Teak, D-I-C, for a while there, that was a bit of a struggle to watch it. And there was some other voice actors that didn't quite line up very well, and I know they did their best. Trust me, as someone who more understands it much more now as a voice actress / actor, it's become quite a challenge. And so I was all excited. That was part 1 to my early birthday gift to myself. And then I was all excited. Phase 2 arrived just the other day, and I closed off everything, and I just posted about this on Instagram today. This is the one I posted about today, and I'm all excited. So happy 35th anniversary to Transformers the movie, 35th anniversary. This is number 2. This is a very, very, very special place in my heart. Not just because of RC, and those that know my RC car, I did that as a sign of hope, and I do a lot of non-for-profit for young non-gendered individuals and young women, and to see that light up and get excited, and just to have any human being, whether they're male, female, whatever, coming over and like for instance, there was a woman I was having what I like to call the sourpuss look the other day, and she's getting out of her vehicle next to me. And I was parked in the Target parking lot waiting to pick my brother up, and she gets out and she got kind of a sourpuss, and she kind of looked over at me, and I kind of smiled and waved in the car, and she kind of lit up. And that's the moments I like. I don't like my neighbor and other people that have been like have all this attitude, like they gotta let anger and there's all these issues about that. And I'm not focusing on the negative. I'm just sharing with you that what I really embrace is the joy of those small moments when someone's having a rough day. Like I know if I was younger and I saw that drive by, like I still get excited. Like we went out to get groceries the other day at like a Hannaford. And we parked, and I saw a vehicle in front of us that looked just like Dead End, and it had the Decepticon symbol on the back. And we got excited. We took pictures. So it's just stuff like that, and I'd love to do like a non-for-profit, like on Autobot Day comes up. I think it's, was it October 14th, if I remember right, Autobot Appreciation Day, for those that know what that refers to. But I'm all excited that this is the 35th anniversary. There is one coming like the end of September. I was trying to hold out for that one. There are a few deleted scenes. They show it. I think you can go to YouTube. I've heard someone on YouTube that I think they actually added the animation to that. Oops, I knew that was going to happen to me. I got to log back into that. But I was all excited. I shared the pictures of all this stuff. If you go to my Instagram, I think it's still Dr.Fox. So there's two versions. There's Blu-ray. I tried the Blu-ray. I watched the Blu-ray the other night. It wasn't the full widescreen. It was the full screen. And I was like, UHD. I was like, I thought PlayStation 5 only played Blu-rays, not UHD. Remember, they were kind of fading out UHD, but I understand there's a difference there. But I ended up, and I plugged it in, I go, oh, that's the one I wanted, was the full screen to watch. But that's okay. I know, some of that gets, some people, there's all this constant little visual war, if you will. There are some that prefer the other way to see it, and then there are others that like the widescreen, or when they saw it, originally, or how they originally saw it. I know Fathom is also bringing it back, I think, for 2 special nights, like the late September, but I'm going to be in surgery and near then, and sadly, I cannot wear my glasses. I'm trying to get my contacts, but I just don't have that extra expense right now. It's already cost me way more than I wanted to for this surgery. And trust me, I'm not able to get... I've tried countless ways of like trying to make a little bit here on doing this kind of format. I've tried crowdfunding. Most of the time I get really negative responses, and they're like, we have a parent or a partner or someone that's got cancer and dying. That's way more important than someone needing to fix, and you can't get so angry to say which thing is more extreme than the other. Because no one understands sadly, not only the media, but sadly the world is misinformed, and the psychological side of things still make it look like, and some will get very upset, and trust me, I don't like this word gender identity disorder, and I don't even feel it's a disorder. Some of us are just trying to fix some things. And there's arguments there, and there's all this medical stuff involved with it, and you can't, some will say it's elective, or you look just fine, and they don't understand where this comes from. It's a medical necessity that has to be done, and it doesn't mean that I'm using that as an excuse to get this done. Some of us need this done for certain aspects of it, and it has not come cheap, and it should not be this way. And I understand there's a lot of other factors involved here, but it's just, anyway, I'm not going to segue too much. I'm just touching on a brief couple of parts of these things as we go. And now I think to get into this antenna story, and then we'll kind of wrap up. We'll go into the calendar after, and it will kind of... So the antenna story, I think I may have briefly touched on this some time ago, and I was all excited. Because I had a similar antenna, and I got this big fence rod piece from, I think it was Home Depot. I had done a lot of research and found that was like one of the cheaper and better options for you to go with it. One long, like, metal rod piece. I think I've put the photo up on Instagram. Don't quote me on that. I'm just really excited. I was able to get some of my locals in, and I know wherever you live, it all varies from certain things and aspects. And thank goodness the way it gets directed, where it has to be directed in. There's 2 locations it can be directed in. And I've checked that app and done all that. But with my brain injury, I'm not comfortable driving a motorcycle anymore, or a 2-wheeler or a bike, as well as with the equilibrium, not to even go that high anymore. And I'm not comfortable. So I had to hire someone to come in. And I had this nice little singular, and I know you lose some signal if you get like a multi that just goes every direction. Then it doesn't matter what direction it is. But I found that with my, and again, there's pros and cons for what type of antenna you go with. But I felt I wanted one, is it Omni? No, Uni? It's single directional. Anyway, just the one signal. So we found the position, and he came over. He was a nice guy. Kind of went over what I wanted to do, and he hit it really well. He put it up under a rack so that we didn't have to worry. I was worried that the water would come in, or that he didn't do. He did seal it, and he did seal it when he had it come down the side, and he hit it very well, and did the little loop so that the rain comes down and drops off. And he put in a splitter so we can run it to the other rooms, which I kind of wanted to do. I didn't have the money, or I think it was mostly because, not really because of the money. I think it was the time. He was on a very restricted time frame. He could come back. I was going to have him come back and mount I got the mount part on the back of the television. I just not comfortable. Yes, I know you can use a stud finder and stuff, and there are instructionals out there, and I have done a few before in the past. I have mounted a few in my RV, different RVs, in my old home that I built, in other places I've been in. And I get it, but I just wasn't feeling comfortable doing it here. I have a couple of them. So he came in and got it all hooked up, and I was all excited, and I kind of cleared some of the area for him. And I thought it might come into the basement and then up, but he ended up finding a spot over here. I have a day bed, and that part pulls up, and he ended up making a nice long drill through there, no problem. And thankfully didn't hit. I had that nice carport up out there, so I didn't have to worry about that. And he found a good position on where to run it through without hitting any wires or tubes or anything. And he got that ran through there. And it's too bad, because after I was finally getting the house organized some weeks later, and I found, I think, almost like 25 or 50 feet of some cable. I'm like, oh, I should have had him use that, because I think they charged me a small fee for, he needed to, because the one that I had came down about 50 feet outside where it went into the splitter, and then he had to add a few more feet into it when he came in, and then it went under the day bed over there. But he was really nice too. He hid the wiring, and he had it run through the wiring, and it went right through and up through the stand that was built into the wall over there. So that was kind of nice. Thankfully, I didn't have to buy a TV stand. That was just, I could put a few items down there. And for those that saw my tour, I think I touched on it as well. And I was all excited. So we did our first scan. And I thought, most likely, most of the time, I get maybe Fox up here, the 23s. The 10 comes out of Lewiston, so that always tends to be the more predominant channels, the 4 10s. 10-1, 10-2, 10-3, and 10-4. I usually just have it on like 10-1 or 4 because I like PBS Kids. And I know there's an app for that, or regular PBS. But when I can't get anything else or can't afford to, until if I had that hooked up prior to my going without cable for 5 days, or internet, I would have been totally fine. I suffered through it. It's fine. I've had worse. I had to live, I didn't even think I had internet, and streaming wasn't even really a decent thing until late 2000s anyway, and I had dial-up. I'm going to show my age a little bit. But if this gives you any indication, my young 12, 13-year-old self was geeking out with the RC and having, getting to rewatch that. I didn't get to quite enjoy it, but sort of reconnecting with that fantasy realm really helped, and having the child inside of me that always still hangs on, instead of putting aside the old. Some people just they have really terrible, horrible experiences in their lives, and they think they have to give up all that chaotic stuff, or it causes some issue, or God forbid if we say that we're connected to something that's not right, or something like that, and it's just not the way it should be. I read an amazing little article this morning about a trans woman who she reconnected with the He-Mans when she was young, and yeah, it was an amazing little story. I think I follow her now on Instagram, and she has like, I don't know, 6 cats or something. And it was an amazing little story to allow for, like, she was collecting the He-Man. It reminded me of like the collection I have of my Transformers. I'm trying to create a little stand for if the Babe Cave ever gets built. I'm waiting until the cooler weather before we paint that room. That's why many of you have not heard a lot about this yet, and why my arcade machines kind of stay down here and in the corner, because I've pretty much been living mostly on the first floor at this point, and who knows whether I may or may not ever get an opportunity to get the money to fix up the second half of the home and turn that more into its own private apartment complex like there, and be able to afford a plumber to fix the drains, and be able to come in and maybe put some kind of like small bathroom maybe in the basement, like a stand-up shower and a toilet and a little sink would be just ideal in that little back corner that has a little, it's almost already set up like a little room. They just gotta pull the shelving out, and it would be ideal for it down there if they just put in the right adapter pieces and whatnot and tie into the plumbing. I would be ideal. So with all that, we come back to wrap up the antenna story. And so we scanned it, and I was really impressed. Like, I thought, I'm going to just get those. I'm like, you'd be my hero if we even just get, maybe the 13s, the 10s, the Foxes. And so we shifted. We did the ka-chunk, ka-chunk. And so thankfully I had the door open. He could kind of yell to me, and I'm trying to hold the button towards the sensor. And I try to be as close as I could about halfway through the living room to hear him through the door. So thank goodness he didn't make me go outside, just kind of leave me to my own abode. He stuck around long enough at least to kind of help me find my channels a little better. And we got one of the two, and we were in this direction where I thought, okay, above the tree lines. But we were lucky. There's one area where the tree line stopped like right here and like right here, and it was like shooting right through that clear area. And I was like, oh, whew. So we scanned again, and oh my gosh. One of the biggest reasons I wanted to be in Portland was I wanted MeTV back, because I knew I could get that with like a very basic, not Portland, Oregon, Portland, Maine, for those that don't know. No, that is not part of Canada. Learn your geography for those that think that. No, trust me, I've heard that before. So I was really impressed. I got like the 6s back. I think I almost had that out in when I had my other home in Windsor prior. I had that 6s maybe when it was during the point when I think it was really cold and all the leaves were gone, and there was a little small point throughout the year when I could get NBC in, but I could get the 6s, and then so I had like I was excited because I got the 8s. And I hadn't had the 8s in a long time. Usually I'm waiting like 3-4 weeks later for the free version on ABC to be able to watch an episode. And really the only ABC stuff I was watching, I think, was like the Connors, a couple of Wednesday night comedies, Goldbergs. That's kind of wrapped up. Well, and they're going to have the season coming back this fall. But there were a couple others. And then I know I was watching Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. there for a while. I know that's over. That moved over. You can find those now on the other Disney Plus streaming service, or ABC had it. But the app, you had to wait a few weeks. But I was all excited. I had MeTV, and then I tried an Air TV Anywhere for a couple of weeks, and it would record the show, but I could every time I'd access it, my little hard drive would fire up, and I don't know if it's the internet speed or some issue with the antenna. So I ended up actually having to replug my antenna back in and just try to catch it when I can. At least I can catch it on Saturday mornings. That goes for 3 hours, and I'm not really concerned about the Popeye first hour and some of the Pink Panther stuff until about that third hour when it's like the Bugs Bunny stuff. I don't mind the hour prior, which is fine once in a while, because I intend to get up anyway about 8-ish, but it takes me a bit to get up longer than it used to. And for the first time, I don't normally eat Lucky Charms. It's my brother's favorite. It's one of his favorites, been since childhood for him. And they were on sale recently, so I was like, you know what, I don't have those very often, because usually they give me migraines with the sugars, and I'm trying to do very, very, very good about my sugars. I'm having a really hard time getting much below 186 pounds. It's been really, really a struggle around here for the longest time, and no matter how hard I try. And I'm walking 4 days a week. I'm working out 6 days a week. I do Tai Chi on Sundays. It's exhausting. And it's like I shouldn't have to work so hard again like I do. And I know there's other ways to do it, but I don't have that money. And then someone will go, it's only a few dollars more than what you're paying to do A, B, C, D, and F. And do this instead. They don't know. It might work for them. Their body's different. I've tried all those things. They don't work. And it's like, well, come back and try them again. Or do it this way or try that way. And I don't know if I got to change to all gluten-free now because these hives are breaking out terribly. And it's in spots. I know, and it's not because I scrub too hard in the shower or use the scrubbies really, really, really hard. I put on moisturizer on my whole body every time after I shower. Every single time. But a lot of it comes from the hives I get and eczema I get from the extreme stress, the social anxiety, the extreme social anxiety, the extreme PTSD, the all those factors that I have parts of right here. Like they said, I've got... chronic PTSD, generalized and extreme social anxiety and anxiety disorder, reoccurring depression, if I'm reading that correctly. The hives, the eczema, parts of the... Oh, shoot, what was that? I was also... There's another history of type of... treatment, chronic, the chronic migraines, the head injuries. I've had all those. I have to go and literally get Botox put into the side of these nerves, and they just pound, and I have to usually make it dark in here. I get it bright just so everyone can kind of see. As you can see, I have a bit of that light closed off right above where Mora is. We're going to kind of wrap this up. I know this one's kind of extending along. That antenna story. Anyways, all excited to come back. Let's wrap that up real quick. I was all excited. So I got all the 6s, I got all the 8s, so I got Me TV back, I got Laugh TV back. I was all excited, like things like Happy Days and like just bringing back a lot of those rerun shows that really I grew up with, things like, I know you can find them online in other places. I use Stir sometimes for like my evening news and things like that, but so now I get the 13s. The 23s. Some of the 35s came in a little bit. I even got the 51s. I got my CW. Normally I would just wait the next day. Thankfully CW puts it right on the app. Like I've been doing that with Dead Pixels on Sunday. I'll just watch it Monday morning while I'm doing my morning routine before we jump in with our guild. Or I try to, and sometimes I get so busy I can't catch it until maybe Tuesday or something. There are mornings where I'm so crazy busy straight out. But I've got so many phone calls this month. I still got to tidy up, like life insurance. I got to tidy up. We're working on a bunch of other pieces right now. I'm trying to straighten out. My first mortgage came out. I did that one. That was rough. I'm on a tight budget right now. It is not easy, and I'm gonna need to bounce back pretty soon. But I need to hunker down. So. I think with that, we're good. I think that's a good place for this week, because normally this is like 10, 20 something minutes. This one kind of, I don't usually go over more than a half hour. I think we're almost at 40 minutes. So we're going to hit the calendar kitty this week. I had a lot of little things. I just wanted to share some more story. I don't get a chance. I usually got to just hit a very brief story for a few minutes. And it was nice to be able to just kind of go off, talk to you all, or said individual that's listening. And it means a lot for all of you to kind of stick around this long as we have. Stick around. Oh, yes, I will. That's from Wreck-It Ralph. Those that know I tend to use when the moment works, I will use a line from said movie or film or, it's something other piece. That's another piece of who I am. And it's just one of 1,000 things that make up this Miss Jenna, aka Dr.Fox, if you will. So let's jump into that right now. Oops, that's the wrong. I used the Deadly Boss, and every once in a while I was using that just for a little while. I don't usually tend to use that. Okay, Calendar Kitty. Here we go. Okay, so Dark Moon Fair pretty much wrapped up. If you're not seeing this until the traditional Sunday, then sadly that had wrapped up. Anything that you had done that is reopening this week. Torghast Beasts of Prodigum. I know there's an easy way to say that word, and I don't know why it's not like just rolling off my tongue today. Excuse me. Let me see. I think the next tier of the Sanctum of Domination, I think that drops in LFR. PvP Brawl, Comp Stomp, that's going to begin. Battlegrounds bonus event, that's beginning for those that want to pick up some Battlegrounds. And then, of course, the Time Walking Dungeon for those. Right now, we're doing TBC. You can see where I'm at right now, doing that horrifically awful grind of Orgullia. I think I can just jump on a couple alts still and pick up a couple of quick 500s. And I think Orgullia is a rep. Don't quote me on that, because this would save me a ton of time for doing that. I got to look that up again. My luck, I'll figure it out right after I finish this recording, and I'll be like, why did I say that on camera, right? PvP Brawl Gravity Lapse, that's also ending this week. That will get us into our second full week of August. And I hope that holds you well. And a couple of things that I hope you can think about this week. Take a couple of things to kind of contemplate, pull back a little bit, and maybe just kind of touch on. Take a couple of things that you want to think about this week. Call me in the morning, and then those that know how I wrap this up, we will see you later.